When I started the van build process, plumbing was one of the things that I realized could suck all of the time and money out of a project. Here's a rundown of everything I decided to do for my simple, fresh, and gray water system. I'm wrapping up the build on my Ford Transit van and getting ready to head to every national park in the US. But before I finish everything, I want to take a minute to talk about my plumbing. It's kind of a snowball project because if you decide you want more water capacity or if you decide you want an electric water pump, it really changes everything else that you do in your build. This entire plumbing system only cost me $100 and doesn't use any electricity. Here's how I did it. My Freshwater works with a manual foot pump. This siphons water from my fresh blue tank and up through my traditional faucet. I did a how-to video when I hooked this up to talk about each of the parts. Here is that video. This is how I'm hooking up my whale water pump to a traditional faucet. The water pump has an in valve and an out. If you take this part off, the hole is almost perfect for our tubes. I'm going to pump the hose clamp on, slide that over the arrow that's in. These are the water hoses that came with the faucet. I'm going to use hot and cold. It won't matter because I don't have a water heater, but I don't want the faucet to work funny with just one of them, and I also don't want it to leak without having the other one hooked up. Either way, I'm going to use a water shutoff valve to get these hooked up so that they can come together and have one source of water. This end goes into the faucet, so I'm going to put this end on the valve. To go from the shutoff valve to the rubber hose, I'm going to use a brass barb. This was kind of the key in getting this system all hooked up. It doesn't have a rubber gasket, so I'm going to use Teflon tape in this one. Now that that is tight, I'm going to put one end on the barb and the other end on the output for the water pump. The foot pump is going to rest on the floor. This will go up to the faucet and this will go into the water jug. All of the pieces that I talk about here are available on Amazon. I will link them in the description below. Feel free to check them out. To get from the sink to the gray tank, I used a HEPFO trap. In a traditional sink, you would use a P-trap, and that has a water reservoir. That water prevents smell from coming up your drain and into your sink. That type of trap doesn't necessarily work for RVs and vans because we're not always level, so the water doesn't stay in the trap very well. It can also dry up if you don't use your sink enough. The HEPFO trap has a soft PVC liner that functions the same as a traditional trap, but doesn't rely on that water reservoir. The trap comes with two connectors, and I used both of them to hook up this system. You can use the trap horizontally, which is what I did. You just have to follow the instructions and make sure that it's at the correct angle. From there, I cut a hole into the lid of a clear water tank so that it can collect the gray water. We've got the valve hooked up. It's made for a rainwater system and it seems to be working pretty great. We're just testing it to make sure there's no leaks. One of the coolest things about this plumbing system is that I can empty the gray tank from inside the van. As long as you use biodegradable soaps and you empty it in responsible places. I added a valve from a rainwater system, hooked that up to a hose, and took the hose through the bottom of the van. It felt crazy to cut a hole through the bottom of the van, but I'm happy it's there and it works great. That is how I did my full fresh water system. This only has a capacity of 5 gallons. I do plan to have extra gallons under the bed. It's super simple to use and it does everything that I need it to do. Hopefully you enjoyed this video about plumbing. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out all of the other van build videos. I have full details on everything from start to finish. But I'm almost done and almost ready to hit the road. I'll see you there. The $100 plumbing cost does not include the sink and the faucet. These two things can break the bank. I was able to find this faucet on Amazon for $60. It was super easy to install, and I think it works really well. And this is an Ikea sink that I was able to find for $37, plus $5 shipping.